in the air. That means many people are hitting the roads, but one way to make your trip a really bad one is to wind up on the side of the road. And to make sure that doesn't happen to you, we have our auto guy, Brian Bowersock of West Escondido Auto and Transmission. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's belt check time, it sounds like.
Belt check time, absolutely. We're here today to talk about belts, things that can happen to them, and why it's important to have them changed or inspected.
Now, this is one of those things, again, most people don't even think about.
That's correct. Most people, unless whoever's servicing their vehicle checks them regularly, it's an unthought process. Most people put gas in their car and think about changing the oil, and that's about all.
But it really can ruin a bad, or make a bad trip pretty quickly, because you were saying that these don't have multiple belts anymore, so you don't have anything to save you.
A lot of vehicles these days have one single serpentine belt, which is a wide grooved belt that runs everything on the front of the vehicle. So unlike the old days, if you lost a belt, you may lose your air conditioning or your alternator. These days you lose everything, and often the vehicle overheats, loses all its power steering and everything else along with losing the belt.
Now, are there usually signs when you're driving your car that a belt's about to go, or is it very, very sneaky?
90% of the time, there's no sign. Belts start coming apart. Sometimes you will get some squeaking, things like that, prior to a belt failure that you need to. That's a sign to have it checked out. But belts should just be checked and changed on regular intervals.
Okay, and how often should we change them?
Usually, the longest they should go is 5 years or 60,000 miles.
Okay.
We recommend to replace them at that point. But often, because of the heat on a vehicle, they can start to wear out prior to that. So that's why they should be inspected regularly.
And how often should we have them checked, if not changed?
Usually we recommend they should be checked every time you have your car serviced. You have the oil change, they should be checking the belts. It's a very simple process. It takes a couple seconds and not long at all, and it can be done all in the same time.
Now, are we susceptible here in California? You're saying sometimes if cars get too hot because of the heat or the salt or anything that makes our belts go a little faster?
Well, heat often does damage them. Belts are rubber, so they do start to come apart. Heat, anything extreme, heat, temperature, long driving, sitting and idling on the freeway, things like that absolutely wear on belts.
So especially if you're going on a trip, then you probably are going to encounter more problems because you're kind of engaging all those issues.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the best time to get them checked, obviously, is taking your car in for service before you head out on the trip. Make sure that the belts are checked and that you have a good quality belts on your car before you leave.
All right, well, let's take a look at some of the problems, because the difference between a good belt and a bad belt may be difficult to find. Tell us about this one.
Well, here we have a belt that's actually starting to come apart. It's fraying on the sides. And it has a piece actually missing out of it.
Ooh, yeah.
Where it started to come apart. Then we have another belt here that actually you can see is cracking apart.
Yeah, it's definitely
starting to separate, and so you can see where it's coming out.
Now, is this a more dangerous belt, more likely to go than the worn belt, or which one of these, if you're looking at them?
Both of them actually have a tendency to fail. Belts can often start to unravel when the sides of them start to come apart, like this belt is. And then, obviously, big pieces start to come out of this belt, and it can actually come apart and fail.
Pretty quickly.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, and did you have another one here, or are these what they should look like?
Well, no, these are all worn. This one's glazed on the outside.
Okay.
And then this is actually a brand new belt, which you can see what they look like inside whenever they're brand new.
Okay.
Not glazed or anything like that.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for being here with us today. So main thing is just get them checked.
Absolutely.
All right, always good advice. Thanks for being here. If you'd like more information, you can log on to our website as well. If you have questions for Brian, send those on out to us too at fox6.com.